everyone, welcome back to So Vintage. So we are continuing on making our retro apron, and now what we are going to do is we're actually going to cut out and attach the waist ties. So I have the pattern piece for the waist tie. We are going to need 2 of them, and this is 2.5 by 36 inches, and I am just going to be using that gray, white with black polka dot on there and to do the waist for. I think it'll look lovely against our Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. It's not zombies, skeletons. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pin this down and we're going to cut it out, and then we'll be back to talk about stitching it together. The other item you'll want to cut out is the necktie. I think in the beginning I may have originally said you needed 2 of these. I was wrong, you only need 1. And this is going to be in that same fabric, and this is 2.5 by 26. There we go, we've got our piece there. For the necktie, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it raw edges together and the right sides of the fabric together. So you have basically the the ugly side of the fabric looking at you, and then we are going to do a 1/4 inch stitch all the way down. You don't have to stitch the edges, just this very long side. So 1/4 inch stitch all the way down. Then for the 2 waist ties, we're going to do the same, almost the same thing. You're going to fold it right sides together, and you're going to do a 1/4 inch stitch, but you're also going to do it on one end of the fabric. So essentially you end up with a tube with that's closed on one end. Now I'm going to run over the sewing machine and stitch these up, and then I will show you how to reverse them, which is get your patience on for that, because you're going to have to do it not once, not twice, but 3 times. Everything is all stitched up. We're going to start with the necktie, and the first thing you want to do is you want to take your pinking shears and you want to trim as close to your stitching as you can. This is going to not only reduce fraying, but will also reduce the amount of bulk of material inside the tie. Now we need to turn this inside out, which this is where I say get your patience on, because you do not want to rush this. I've done that before, and what happened is I poked right through the material, and that is a really hard problem to fix. So what I use, and I know there are tools out there that are supposed to help with this, but what I use is actually a chopstick, just one from, like a wooden one from the takeout place. So what I do is I just grab the end of the opening, and then I take the chopstick and I place it just maybe a 1/2 inch behind it, and then scrunch up the material and then push that using the chopstick through. And then you should be able to just kind of start to wiggle, and then once you can't wiggle anymore, take a little bit more of the fabric, push it in, and then I usually will put the chopstick against my belly and just kind of pull down. And again, this is where you want to be really careful, because the end of the chopstick's right here. If you push too hard, that's going to go right through your fabric. Now it is actually a little bit easier on the waist ties because the end's closed, so I'll show you how I do those and why those are easier in just a second. Here we go with the waist tie. So as you know, on the waist tie we stitched one of the ends closed. You're going to take the end of the waist tie and kind of pop it open just a little bit. So then you can take your chopstick, and again I prop it up against my chest here, and you just begin to wiggle the fabric, and it'll start to go down the chopstick. And again, you just want to be patient with it, because the chopstick can very easily, or any like pen or anything like that, can easily poke through the end. But as you can see, it's already just really easily going down the chopstick. And start to pull it down here. because you don't want too much fabric to build up down here, then it's going to get too hard to pull through. And then before you pull out the chopstick, you just want to make sure that all the fabric on the end is kind of poked out so you get a nice square end here. Take this over to the ironing board, and then you're just going to iron it nice and flat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach all of our ties. We're going to lay down our apron right side up. So now we're going to attach the necktie to the apron. Now when you match it up, you want to make sure that you are at least 1/4 of an inch in from the edge of the fabric, because you want to make sure that the necktie doesn't wind up in your seam allowance. And again, this is a complete modification. The pattern book actually calls for a different like neck and tie system, but I didn't like that one, so I went back to a traditional neck and tie system. Then you want to make sure that as you bring your necktie around that you're not twisting it, because you don't want there to be a twist in the necktie. So just kind of keep it laying flat on the apron as much as you can as you curve it around. That will ensure you don't sew a twist into the apron tie. Again, making sure we're at least, I always go a little bit past 1/4 just to be on the safe side. Now we are going to pin our waist ties. You're going to take the end that is not stitched close and you are going to match it up with the apron. You want to make sure that you're 1/4 of an inch down from the upper raw edge, not the side but the upper. Most important thing to do, make sure that your ruffle is laying inside the apron, because you want to make sure after you stitch everything the waist tie is not interfering with the ruffle. See there? And again, you're going to make sure it's at least 1/4 of an inch from the top raw edge here. And I've gone ahead and just matched it up with the side raw edge. You're going to do that on the other side as well. Okay, now that we have everything pinned, the waist ties and the neck ties, we're going to go ahead and quick stitch these at 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to come back and stitch the two pieces of the apron together. Pretty exciting stuff. We are now putting the two pieces together, the two apron bodies together. So what you want to do is you want to take the apron piece that has everything attached to it and lay it out. And you want to make sure that your necktie is laying on top of the apron. You want to make sure your waist ties are laying on top of the apron. You want to make sure that your ruffle is laying on top of this apron. Everything all nice and tucked in on top of this apron. You are going to take the other apron body and you're going to lay it right sides together on top. So you want nothing peeking out. And then you're just going to pin everything together, making sure that you're matching your raw edges. Okay, so everything is all pinned together. Now before you start stitching, you want to make sure that you leave an opening, because obviously we'll need to reverse this. So you're going to leave about 4 inches open here at the bottom. So I'm just getting out my ruler. So I place my pins in vertically because all my other pins are going horizontally. So I'll know that that is where my gap should be. And also when I start stitching, I'm going to start stitching at the beginning of where one of these vertical pins are. And then when I reach the other one, I know to stop. So now that everything is all taken care of, we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we are going to start stitching it, and we're just going to do that 1/4 inch, ouch, that 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. Okay, so now that everything is all stitched together and we have our 4-inch gap in stitching, we are going to use those pinking shears one more time, and we are going to trim all the way around our stitching. So pinking shear away, and we will be back to start flipping that around. That is all taken care of, and I will say it is a little bit hard to get the pinking shear sometimes through the fabric because you have quite a few layers. So Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are just going to start to pull the fabric through the gap in the stitching, and I'm just kind of gathering it all together and trying to bring it through. Alright, now, there we go. Looking lovely. So now what we're going to do is we are actually going to stitch close our gap. Okay, so here we go. We have our gap. And what I'm going to do to make it just a little bit easier is I'm going to line up my fabric. And you want to make sure that you get that nice, that you're rolling under some of that excess fabric. So you get a nice edge, because you don't want it to be the raw edge that's out there like that. You want to roll that under. Making sure we're covering the stitching where the ruffle is. And then that way, as I'm stitching, I don't have to worry about it moving around. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to get your needle, and you just want to do a standard knot at the end. Now, you want to try and hide this stitch as much as possible, so we're going to do a bit of a slip stitch here. So we're going to slip the needle into the edge of the fabric here, and then we're going to come out in that black fabric as well and pull it through. Then we're going to grab some of the white fabric. A little hard to get through, so we're using our I'm drawing a blank on what the heck they're called. All I can think in my head is Thumbelina. So, and then we're going to grab just a little bit of that white fabric as well. And just keep doing that. Okay, and then to tie it off, all you're going to do is you're going to do through the black material into the white material, but before you pull the thread all the way through, you're going to take your needle and pass it through that loop and then pull it tight. Go ahead and do that, and then I just wrap it around again and pull the fabric through, the thread through. And just do that a couple more times, and then you're just going to trim your thread. Next week we are actually going to place the pocket onto the apron. We're also going to add a cute little detail that I thought would be super cute, and I'm going to leave that for a little surprise. It's not in the pattern book, but it's something I thought would be a lot of fun, and that, you know, who wouldn't want to add it? So we're going to do that next week, and that is actually next week that our apron is going to be done. How crazy is that? I'm so excited. I hope you guys are really enjoying this series, and go ahead in the comment section below and let me know, what is this called? Why can't I remember what this is called? And now I'm like, Thumbelina, thumbtack. It's a guard for your finger. It's the thing that you can get souvenirs from different places with these things, and it's a Monopoly game. And I'm probably gonna end this video and be like, oh, so save my sanity. What is this called? Also, let me know, what is your favorite way to turn fabric right side out when you're doing tubes? Do you use chopsticks? Do you have a better way to do it? So that is it for So Vintage, and if you want even more of this face, go ahead and check out my other videos, like last week's vlog. I took you to dinner and a little shopping. Very nice, and you guys enjoyed dinner so much. You said you were so full you couldn't eat another bite. And And you can also see last week's hair tutorial, and there's a giveaway in that hair tutorial as well. So not only is it one of my favorite looks, which was inspired by Betty Davis, but also I'm giving away something that is super wonderful from a super fabulous Etsy seller. And finally, if you missed the previous video on the apron and you want to go back and check it out, you can go ahead and click that button right there. And as always, if you don't want to miss anything that goes on here, you click that subscribe button. That's going to let you know when new videos are posted. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.